Hi, my name is Rebecca Good. I am the assistant principal here at Oak Grove High School, and I am going to talk to you today about teacher ethics and legal issues. It's important for you to be familiar with these things as you begin your career as a teacher at Oak Grove High School. So, again, I want to welcome you to Oak Grove, and let's begin by looking at an introduction. The goal of each teacher at Oak Grove High School must always be to provide an environment where students can learn. The expectation would be that you will value the worth and the dignity of every person on our campus, teachers and students alike. We at Oak Grove High School have a devotion to excellence. We are actively supporting the pursuit of knowledge. We wish that everybody fully participate in a nurturing environment and that we will adhere to high ethical standards. So let's take a look at what professional conduct means. Professional conduct means that teachers will demonstrate conduct that follows the generally recognized professional standards. Some examples of ethical conduct would be to have those high standards. You are expected to encourage and support your colleagues in development and the maintenance of high standards at all times. The expectation is that you would respect your fellow educators and participate in creating a professional and supportive environment. And then also that you would grow as an educator, that you would participate in a variety of professional development and learning experiences that would help improve the student learning. Now, there are some examples of unethical conduct. Before we look at those, let's define what exactly unethical conduct would be considered to be in the area of professionalism. Any conduct that impairs the certificate holder's, that would be the teacher's, ability to function in his or her employment position or is acting in a detrimental fashion to the health, welfare, discipline, or the morals of the students. So some examples of unethical conduct would be harassing your colleagues, misusing or mismanaging test materials, inappropriate language on the school grounds or in the presence of students or teachers, any kind of physical altercation, and then any failure to provide appropriate supervision for students. Another legal issue is trustworthiness. Basically, trustworthiness means that the expectation is that you would demonstrate honesty and integrity. Examples of ethical conduct in this area would be to be honest, properly represent any facts concerning education in the matter of direct or indirect public expressions. Be an advocate. Always be an advocate for your students. Or, as Mr. Pruden would say, just do what's right for kids. Then, another example is good character. Demonstrate characteristics of honesty, tact, and fairness. Let's look at some examples of what unethical conduct would look like in the area of trustworthiness. Mainly, this would be falsifying or misrepresenting or omitting any of the following things. It could be your professional qualifications, your application, the history of your employment, your criminal records. It could be anything that you have submitted for federal, state, or any other governmental agencies. Or it could be in regards to information regarding the evaluation of students or as an administrator personnel. Or it could be something as simple as falsifying your reasons for absences or leaves. This specifically gets into the area of teachers have sick days or they have personal days. And sometimes teachers will run out of personal days as they're only given 5 a year. So when they take off, they want to claim a sick day. Well, if you're not really sick, then that could be considered unethical conduct. Another area is unlawful acts. Basically, educators are expected to abide by all federal, state, and local laws and statutes. In this area, unethical conduct is defined as the commission or conviction of any crime involving moral turpitude. Basically, an educator's responsibility in this area means that you just don't engage in anything that's against the law. Teacher-student relationship is a very important and touchy area with legal issues, especially at the high school level. We hear of a lot of situations in the media today involving inappropriate student and teacher relationships. Basically, you need to remember that you are to maintain a professional relationship with all students at all times, either in the classroom or outside of the classroom. Some examples of ethical conduct in regard to students is that you are to play a role as a trusted advocate for student growth. You are to nurture student potential. The expectation is that you would provide an environment that is not going to embarrass a student and that you create and maintain a challenging learning environment. Examples of unethical conduct would be physical or verbal abuse, acts of cruelty or child endangerment, engaging in harassment or discriminatory acts, or furnishing any illegal or unauthorized drugs or tobacco to students. That brings us to our next area of legal issue: alcohol, drugs, and tobacco use or possession. As an educator, you are expected to be a role model and set the example. Therefore, you should refrain from using alcohol or tobacco during the course of your professional practice. That means that while you are on school grounds, you should not be using alcohol or tobacco. When you are in the presence of students, you should not be using alcohol or tobacco. Even after school, during extracurricular activities, and you should never use illegal or unauthorized drugs. In this situation, ethical conduct is defined as factually representing the dangers of tobacco, alcohol, and illegal or unauthorized drugs to students. An example of some unethical conduct would be possessing, using, or consuming illegal or unauthorized drugs and alcohol ever at all. Being under the influence or using alcohol on the school premises or in the presence of students, or using illegal drugs or consuming alcohol during the school-related activities. So not just during the school day, but also if you are a sponsor of extracurricular activities, if you are attending a field trip with students. It is never appropriate to consume alcohol or tobacco products, and it is absolutely never acceptable to participate in the use of illegal drugs. So let's look in the area of public funds and property. It is expected that you'll maintain a high level of honesty, accuracy, and responsibility with public funds and property. So the expectation of being able to manage school funds in a wise and honest manner is there. Some examples of ethical conduct is to maximize the positive effect of school funds by using funds wisely. Basically, that means stretch the dollar as far as you can in the smartest way possible. And then model for students and colleagues the responsible use of public property. Some examples of unethical conduct would be misusing the public or school-related funds, failing to account for funds collected from students or parents. At Oak Grove High School, we receive all money that comes in, and we're very fortunate that Ms. Harris, our financial secretary, does that for us. She will be a wonderful resource for you in helping you navigate the area of funding and the use of funds at Oak Grove High School. Another example of unethical conduct would be submitting fraudulent requests for reimbursement or expenses for pay of the the thing that I can think of most readily is travel reimbursement. That's mainly what we turn in things for as teachers is your travel reimbursement, and to submit a false request or a fraudulent request for reimbursement of these things would be considered unethical conduct. Okay, another area or legal issue is remunerative conduct. Basically, you must maintain integrity with stakeholders when accepting gifts, gratuities, favors, and additional compensation. They began looking at this very closely several years ago and have set some guidelines within the schools about what's acceptable in accepting gifts and gratuities, especially in regards to, the holiday season or an end of the year gift from parents. So let's look at some examples of ethical conduct in this area. You need to ensure that the institutional privileges are not used for personal gain. And then also ensuring that school policies and procedures are not influenced by gifts or gratuities from any person or organization. Um, you know, an example would be that you accept a gift and give that giver's student an A. That would be an example of um, unethical conduct. So when it's saying that you are ensuring that those policies and procedures are being followed and that you are not being influenced by gifts or gratuities, is that when you accept something, you're not doing it in exchange for something else. Okay, so let's look at examples of unethical conduct. Soliciting of students or parents to purchase equipment, supplies, or services from the educator, or to participate in activities that financially benefit the educator unless approved by the school board. That means, as an educator, if you have a business on the side, say 31 or Essential Oils or Pampered Chef, you cannot solicit your students and parents to purchase those types of products or things from you. That would be considered unethical conduct. Another example is accepting gifts from vendors or potential vendors for personal use or gain where there appears to be a conflict of interest. For example, we often have vendors who are interested in getting our contract for the yearbook. And so often they will try to buy or give uh, in incentives to use that particular vendor. They might offer you a free computer or a some amount of money or some amount of discount. And you have to be very careful about accepting um, special things from vendors, especially items such as computers or those types of things. So let's move on to our next issue, which is the maintenance of confidentiality. So the definition of this is basically the compliance with state and federal laws and local school board policies relating to confidentiality of student and personnel records. This is an extremely important legal issue, and let's look at some examples of ethical conduct. What does this look like? Basically, this means you keep all information about students confidential unless the disclosure of information serves a professional purpose or is required by the law. And then also maintaining the security of standardized test supplies and resources. As the year goes on and we get closer to testing time, you will be asked to sign a test security policy. And on that test security policy, it lists specifically the guidelines for maintaining the security of the standardized tests that we will be giving at Oak Grove High School. Okay, let's look at some examples of unethical conduct. This would be things such as sharing confidential student information. This can be in regards to their health and medical information, disciplinary records, their income, family income, even assessment and testing results, unless that it's required or permitted by law to share those things. And then also violating other confidentiality agreements that are required by state or local policy. Okay. As you become a new teacher, you are under contract. So you have agreed to work a full 9 months as a teacher, and if you don't fulfill that, that would be considered contract abandonment. You are expected to honor all the terms in your employment contract. Some examples of unethical conduct in this would be leaving your position without prior release from your employer or refusing to perform the duties that are required in that contract. There are some requirements for reporting unethical conduct. Educators must report unethical conduct. Any ethics violation must be reported within 60 days of becoming aware of the violation, according to the policies and procedures prescribed by the local board, and the complaint should be in writing. There are many possible disciplinary actions for unethical conducts. The biggest is that the State Superintendent of Education, which hopefully everyone recognizes, our current State Superintendent is Tommy Bice, he may suspend or revoke any certificate for unethical conduct. Unethical conduct can cost a teacher their certificate. I think that this slide very humorously shows that, but it also is to be taken very seriously. If you have any questions in regards to the ethics and legal issues, you may come and see Mr. Pruden or myself, Miss Good. And if you'd like further information regarding this, you may go to the Alabama Educator Code of Ethics. You can find that on the State Department website, where you can read further information regarding legal issues. Thank you, and I hope you have a wonderful school year. Please don't hesitate to come and see me if there's anything I can do to help you. Thank you.